The chamber of the Galactic Confederacy shimmered with cold light, a cathedral of arrogance built to display power. Tiered balconies curve high above, filled with commanders from dozens of species. Their eyes glowed, their mandibles clicked, their tusks bared in faint amusement as they gazed down upon the newest arrivals, humanity. To the Confederacy, humans were a primitive novelty, a species barely out of its cradle, still clinging to chemistry and steel in an age of antimatter and plasma. At the center of the arena floor, 12 human soldiers stood in formation. Their armor was functional rather than ornate, scarred ceramic plates strapped over tactical fabric, painted in matte tones. They carried rifles slung across their shoulders, packs heavy with ammunition, eyes sharp and wary. These were not conscripts sent for show. They were professionals, drawn from wars fought on Earth's deserts, jungles, and ruined cities. Every man and woman present carried the weight of survival written in the lines of their faces. Colonel Marcus Grayson led them. His hair was iron gray, his expression carved into calm determination. He had commanded in too many battles to count, and though the setting was alien, the rhythm of soldiering was familiar. He scanned the chamber with steady eyes, cataloging exits, vantage points, and threats. He knew that everything about this trial had been arranged to remind his people of their supposed inferiority. The Confederacy's war games had been staged for centuries as a theater of dominance. Lesser species were brought here, tested in ritual combat, and inevitably crushed, their humiliation broadcast to the galaxy as proof of the Confederacy's supremacy. The announcer's voice boomed across the chamber, resonant and cruel. Behold the Terrans, newcomers to the stars. They bring crude weapons, outdated armor, and misplaced courage. Let them face the Confederacy's chosen and prove their worth, or perish. The words translated instantly into dozens of tongues, each phrase dripping with disdain. Laughter erupted from the balconies. A dozen species mocked in their own ways, clicking mandibles, grinding tusks, whistling through slitted throats. To them, humanity was already defeated, a spectacle waiting to happen. Among the human soldiers, one figure remained stiller than the rest, almost part of the shadows themselves. Sergeant Cole Harrington, known by his call sign Ghost, stood with his rifle slung across his back. The weapon drew the most ridicule from the onlookers. A Barrett M82, a .50 caliber anti-material rifle, rebuilt and refinished countless times. To the Confederacy, it was a relic, a toy, laughably obsolete in a universe ruled by energy shields and plasma cannons. Yet to Cole, it was more than steel and polymer. It was patience, precision, and inevitability. Cole's face was painted in muted streaks of black and gray, his eyes steady beneath the mask. He listened to the laughter and let it pass over him. He had heard it before, though never from mouths so alien. Throughout his career, he had been underestimated, dismissed until the moment the thunder of his rifle proved otherwise. This would be no different. Grayson's voice cut low across the comms, audible only to his team. Remember your training. Stay disciplined. Let them underestimate us. It's the best weapon we have. The floor beneath them trembled. Walls of light surged up around the arena, and the polished chamber dissolved into ruin. Holograms built from hard light particles reshaped the world into a sprawling city, shattered and lifeless. Towers leaned half-collapsed, their windows jagged with broken glass. Streets split with cracks, weeds pushing through in stubborn defiance. Fires smoldered in the distance, smoke curling into a simulated sky. It was a city of ghosts, familiar in its devastation. Grayson scanned the terrain with a soldier's eye. Urban environment. Standards sweep and clear. Stick to formations, cover arcs, and watch your six. The squad moved with trained precision, peeling off in pairs, rifles ready. Their movements were not flashy, but efficient, honed by years of fighting where mistakes meant death. They took cover along walls, scanned sight lines, and moved as if they had been born in ruins. Cole slipped away from the group, moving like water through shadow. He climbed a fractured stairwell, boots light against debris. until he reached a half-collapsed upper floor. He dropped low and slid his rifle into place, resting on a bipod. From here, he could see across the battlefield. Through the battered scope, alien soldiers were already materializing, drawn from different species of the Confederacy. They gleamed in polished armor, their shields humming faintly with energy, their weapons glowing with plasma charge. They marched with confidence, secure in their superiority, unaware of the storm waiting to reach them. In the observation balconies, one commander leaned forward, a scaled arm pointing toward Cole's position. His mandibles clicked in a staccato rhythm of mockery. "Behold the human's heavy rifle," the translator echoed for all. "An antique, a child's toy against our shields." Laughter rose again, harsh and grating. Cole's finger brushed the trigger lightly, almost reverently. His breathing slowed, the world narrowing into the scope's circle. He could see one of the alien officers gesturing broadly, barking commands to the troops assembling below. The officer's stance radiated arrogance, as if victory had already been secured. The war games had not yet officially begun. Horns had not sounded, energy weapons had not discharged. Yet Cole understood something the aliens did not. War did not begin when trumpets declared it so. War began the moment you chose to strike. His voice was barely a whisper, carried only to himself. "Tama, wipe that smile off your face." Grayson raised his hand to signal the squad, the silent gesture for readiness. The humans braced, weapons leveled, breaths held. The Confederacy troops readied their cannons, their shields glowing brighter in anticipation of plasma fire. The horn of initiation began to blare, a sound meant to mark the start of slaughter. But Cole was already exhaling, already steady, already certain. The crosshairs rested on the alien officer's visor, the perfect, polished surface untouched by combat. His finger tightened. The rifle cracked like thunder, a sound so raw it silenced laughter in an instant. The visor shattered, the body crumpled, and in the shocked silence that followed, the galaxy leaned forward to watch. The rifle cracked like thunder. The sound rolled across the ruined city, raw and alien in a battlefield where energy weapons usually hissed and hummed. The alien commander in Cole's scope jerked back as the round slammed into his helmet. For a split second, the shield shimmered, struggling to absorb the kinetic force. Then the visor shattered like glass under a hammer. The alien crumpled, his body spasming, disbelief frozen across features that had never considered failure possible. Silence fell across the Confederacy ranks. Shields were built to refract plasma, to scatter light, to bleed off the heat of lasers. They were never meant to stop a dense, half-inch slug propelled by chemistry and steel. The other commanders turned, mandibles twitching, tusks bared, eyes wide with outrage. The galaxy had seen battles lost, but they had never seen arrogance punctured so suddenly, so publicly. Cole's finger slid from the trigger as he settled back into cover. He shifted slightly, crawling deeper into the rubble of the half-collapsed floor. His camouflage blended him into broken concrete and rusting steel. He knew better than to linger on one sight line. A sniper's gift was patience, but patience did not mean stillness. It meant choosing the right moment, then surviving long enough to choose another. Down below, the rest of the human squad tightened formation. Grayson raised his fist, signaling silently. They advanced in a staggered line, rifles sweeping across alleys and shattered windows. The aliens were still reeling from the first kill, but the hesitation wouldn't last long. The Confederacy had numbers, technology, and arrogance. Only shock slowed them now, and shock was fleeting. Private Ramirez darted into cover behind a collapsed pillar, his breath sharp through the comms. "Holy hell, Ghost. Did you see that helmet crack? Looked like an eggshell." Eyes forward, Grayson snapped. His tone wasn't anger, but iron discipline. "Let Ghost do his work. You do yours." Ramirez swallowed hard but nodded. Discipline mattered more than awe. If the squad broke into chatter, they were dead. From his perch, Cole adjusted the scope to scan the shifting battlefield. Confederacy soldiers were spreading out now, forming squads of their own. Their armor glowed faintly as shields cycled higher, calibrated instinctively against plasma. It wouldn't matter. Shields weren't magic. They were tools, and tools built for light and energy were useless against the raw force of a bullet that did not care about charge or spectrum. He exhaled, sighting another officer. This one barked orders in a guttural growl, his troops moving in response. The commander's arrogance was a shield. He stood tall, gesturing broadly, certain no primitive weapon could touch him. Cole's scope centered on his chest. A squeeze of the trigger, another thunderclap, another sudden collapse of a life that had never expected to end in steel. Panic spread faster than any command. Soldiers ducked, shields flaring against enemies they couldn't see. Some fired wildly into the ruins, plasma bolts scorching concrete and glass. The spectacle was recorded from every angle, broadcast into the chambers of the Confederacy, replayed on drones overhead. Millions of alien eyes watched as the humans proved themselves anything but primitive. Grayson seized the moment. Advance. Keep pressure. Ghost, cover left flank. The squad surged forward. Plasma fire cut through the air, lighting streets in unnatural blue. Human rifles barked back, not with elegance but with brutal familiarity. These men and women had fought insurgents in deserts, rebels in jungles, warlords in cities where every wall hid a rifle. They didn't need elegance. They needed survival, and survival was written in blood and grit. Cole's eyes stayed behind the scope. He watched angles pick targets. His world narrowed to the crosshairs, to breaths measured like the ticking of a clock. He wasn't just killing commanders. He was dismantling hierarchy. Cut the head, scatter the body. It was the same principle whether in Earth's ruined streets or an alien war game. A glint caught his eye, movement on a rooftop opposite. A Confederacy sharpshooter, heavier armor, longer rifle braced across a rail. Cole slid the scope, measuring distance, watching the angle. The alien's weapon spat a bolt of plasma that cut through the space his head had just vacated. Stone exploded around him. He rolled, muscles tight, repositioning with the rifle clutched to his chest. The duel began. Patience against power. His enemy fired in pulses, each shot a blinding line of light, each one tearing chunks from the building. Cole shifted like a shadow, crawling across debris, working angles. He paused, exhaled, and let the scope settle. The alien's visor gleamed for half a second, a fraction too long. The rifle cracked. The alien's head snapped back, armor splintering, body toppling over the edge. Silence reclaimed the rooftop. Sniper neutralized, Cole muttered into comms. His tone was flat, as though he had simply shifted a chess piece. Grayson's reply was curt. Keep picking. We need their lines broken before they regroup. The Confederacy troops were adapting now, spreading thinner, searching for flanking paths. Shields flared brighter, tuned desperately against kinetic energy. Some even began layering barriers in overlapping arcs. It slowed them, but Cole could see the weakness already. Shields could be tuned, yes, but only so much. The faster they calibrated for impact, the more power they drained, the quicker they collapsed under sustained fire. Humans didn't need fancy tuning. They just needed a clear shot. Cole adjusted again, breath steady. He thought of Earth, of the wars no one outside his species had seen. Cities leveled, not by plasma, but by stubbornness, by men and women who refused to yield. He thought of how humanity had always been underestimated, by nature, by fate, by enemies who thought themselves gods. And here, on this stage, the pattern repeated. Below, Ramirez ducked under cover as plasma scorched overhead. He spat dirt from his mouth, heart hammering. They're panicking, he said, half in awe. Grayson's voice was steel. They'll recover. Hold positions. Trust, Ghost. Trust. It was the one currency more valuable than technology. The squad moved as one, covering arcs, advancing in rhythm, letting the sniper weave death from above. In the observation stands, the Galactic Commanders had stopped laughing. Their sneers had thinned, replaced by confusion, then concern. Their war game was unraveling. The spectacle they had hoped would humiliate humanity was becoming a testament to human defiance. The galaxy was watching, and the galaxy was learning a lesson it had never imagined. Cole chambered another round, the weight of the rifle heavy but familiar. His scope found another officer, another gleaming visor waiting to crack. He exhaled, and the thunder rolled again. The Confederacy line faltered. Troops scattered into alleys, shields flickering, commands lost in chaos. Humanity had not just drawn blood, it had drawn fear. And in war, fear was the beginning of victory. Cole settled back, scanning, knowing the battle was far from over. They would adapt. They always adapted. But so would he. Patience would win the day. He whispered again, so quiet it was almost a prayer. Let them laugh. I'll teach them all the same. The third shot broke what little order remained. The alien officer's helmet exploded with a spray of fractured alloy, the body staggering before collapsing in the dust. That image, captured by hovering drones, played across every viewing angle in the Confederacy's chamber. Spectators who had laughed minutes ago now sat in stunned silence. For the first time in centuries, they witnessed shields fail not from exotic energy, but from brute force. On the ruined street below, Colonel Grayson barked into comms. Push left. Keep them scattered. Ghost, thin out their leaders. The squad obeyed, shifting through the maze of wreckage with crisp precision. Plasma fire slashed overhead, searing air, gouging stone. The humans answered with disciplined bursts, their rifles spitting hard slugs that tore through armor seams. Yet it was Cole who dictated the rhythm of the battle. Each thunderous crack of his rifle reshaped the field, breaking enemy cohesion one shattered visor at a time. Cole adjusted position again, dragging the heavy Barrett across rubble, finding a new angle. His ghillie suit blended seamlessly, dust and debris clinging to it until he looked like part of the ruin itself. Through the scope, he watched another cluster of officers rally their troops, trying to restore order. Their gestures were wide, commanding, meant to impose authority. That arrogance made them targets. He steadied his breathing. One squeeze, one report, one alien crumpling mid-command. The troops around the fallen officer froze, morale disintegrating. Panic spread like contagion. Cole rolled, shifted to a fresh angle, and sighted another. His world was measured in heartbeats and crosshairs. Private Ramirez, pressed behind a cracked pillar, muttered into the channel. It's like he's pulling their strings. Every shot they scatter more. Stay focused, Grayson reminded, though even his voice carried a note of grim satisfaction. Their command structure is unraveling. That's our edge. Keep it. The Confederacy soldiers fired wildly now, plasma bolts scorching walls and collapsing debris, but their shots were panicked guesses. They had trained for neat exchanges of energy fire, for predictable arcs of battle. They had not trained for unseen thunder, for comrades dropping in silence, for helmets cracking as if made of eggshell. Cole's lips tightened. He saw fear in their movements. Jerky, hesitant, uncertain. Fear was a weapon sharper than any blade. One alien squad tried to flank along the right, slipping through a rubble-strewn alley. Sergeant Yates cut them off with a controlled burst, dropping two before the rest retreated. Another squad attempted to rush straight through the street, plasma rifles blazing. They fell into chaos as Cole's rifle barked twice, their lead troopers collapsing mid-sprint. Momentum died instantly, the survivors scattering. The battle was shifting, but the Confederacy was not finished. A deeper rumble echoed through the ruins, heavier footsteps shaking broken pavement. From the haze emerged armored brutes, towering over their comrades. Juggernauts. Each carried a plasma cannon mounted to their arm, their shields thicker, their armor layered. These were enforcers of the Confederacy, deployed only when spectacle turned against them. Grayson cursed under his breath. Juggernauts. Stay mobile. Ghost, bring them down if you can. Cole exhaled slowly. The Juggernaut's armor gleamed, layered in plates designed to withstand even heavy plasma. Shields shimmered thickly, an aura of blue haze. Yet nothing was invincible. He adjusted the scope, tracking the lead Juggernaut stride. Its helmeted head turned, scanning rooftops, confident it was untouchable. The shot rang out. The round struck the helmet dead center. The shield flared, cracking under stress, then collapsed entirely. The helmet dented inward, the alien staggering, stunned but not down. Cole chambered another round instantly, firing again. The second impact finished the job, the helmet caving as the brute fell like a toppled statue. Dust billowed around its bulk. The squad cheered over comms, but Grayson's voice cut sharp. Focus. More incoming. Two juggernauts advanced in tandem, weapons spitting plasma that chewed through walls and rubble. The humans scattered, ducking into cover as heat seared the air. Ramirez shouted, "We can't take a direct hit from those things." "Then don't give them a target," Grayson replied. "Ghost, thin them. Everyone else, draw fire." The squad split, popping shots to distract while Cole worked. He tracked one juggernaut through the scope, following its lumbering stride. Breath in, slow exhale squeeze. The crack echoed, the round slamming into the side of the helmet. It didn't shatter outright, but split the alloy enough to send the alien stumbling. Cole fired again before it could recover. The helmet burst apart, fragments spraying as the brute fell. The second juggernaut roared, firing wildly in retaliation. Plasma bolts tore through the building where Cole had been seconds before. He rolled clear, debris collapsing around him, dust choking the air. He dragged the rifle, repositioning, lungs burning. The juggernaut lumbered forward, overconfident in its armor. Cole found the visor, squeezed, and thunder cracked once more. The alien dropped, its massive cannon clattering uselessly. The battlefield fell into stunned silence. The Confederacy soldiers faltered, their champions cut down in moments. Fear consumed them, eroding whatever discipline they clung to. They fired sporadically, then broke into retreat, scattering into alleys. Grayson seized the moment. "Advance! Push them back. Don't let them regroup." The squad surged forward, weapons blazing. Plasma bolts hissed past, but their momentum was unstoppable now. The humans pressed through the ruined street, step by step, every movement coordinated. Cole covered their advance from above, his rifle punctuating their charge with deadly rhythm. In the observation stands, alien commanders had gone silent. Where laughter once echoed, now there was only tense, hushed disbelief. Their warriors, their juggernauts, their spectacle, all crumbling under the thunder of primitive steel. Cole adjusted the scope again, his eyes finding another officer rallying desperate stragglers. He exhaled and fired. The helmet split, the alien dropping instantly. Each crack of the rifle echoed louder in the chamber above, each shattered visor and nail in the coffin of their arrogance. Ramirez's voice carried awe. "They're falling apart. We're actually winning this." Grayson remained steady. "Don't celebrate yet. Fear makes them dangerous too. Stay sharp." Cole reloaded calmly, sliding another magazine into place. Sweat beaded under his helmet, but his focus never wavered. Every shot mattered. Every breath was measured. He knew the battle was far from over, but he could feel the shift. Humanity had bled arrogance from the Confederacy, one trigger pull at a time. The ruins smoldered under scattered plasma fire. Alien corpses lay strewn across cracked pavement, helmets shattered, armor pierced. The survivors retreated into the distance, dragging the wounded, abandoning weapons in haste. The human squad advanced until Grayson raised a hand. "Hold! Consolidate! Ghost scan! Make sure they're really pulling back." Cole swept the scope across the battlefield. Dust swirled, smoke rose, but no organized formations remained. Just scattered movement, desperate retreats. He lowered the rifle slowly, allowing himself one deep breath. For the first time, the battlefield was theirs. Yet he knew this was only the opening act. The Confederacy would not allow this humiliation to stand. More troops would come, heavier weapons, sharper tactics. The war game had turned into something rawer, something more dangerous. Cole whispered under his breath, a promise carried only to himself. This is just the beginning. The city lay in silence, broken only by the crackle of fires burning among the ruins. Smoke rose in thin pillars, curling into the artificial sky, while the stench of scorched metal and alien blood clung to the air. The battlefield was theirs now, but the silence did not bring comfort. It was the silence of aftermath, heavy with the weight of what had just unfolded. Colonel Grayson stood among the debris, his armor scarred and blackened, his rifle low but ready. His squad formed a loose perimeter, eyes sharp despite exhaustion. None of them spoke at first. They were soldiers, and soldiers understood that victory carried its own kind of gravity. Only Cole, still perched above on his shattered tower, moved with purpose. He scanned the field through his scope, searching for stragglers, for movement, for the inevitable counterstroke that must come. "Status," Grayson asked at last, voice clipped. "Clear," Sergeant Yates answered, wiping grime from his visor. "No formations left, just scattered survivors." Cole's voice crackled over comms, steady as ever. "No regrouping. They've pulled back beyond the perimeter." Grayson nodded grimly. "They'll be back. They won't accept this kind of humiliation without answer." Private Ramirez shifted uneasily. "Sir, we just routed a Confederacy strike force. We dropped their commanders, their juggernauts, their whole damn line. Doesn't that count for something?" Grayson's gaze was sharp. "It counts as a beginning. Nothing more." Cole lowered his rifle, slinging it across his shoulder as he descended from the ruin. Each step echoed with quiet deliberation. He reached the squad, his expression unreadable beneath the dirt and paint. Ramirez looked at him with open awe, but Cole's eyes betrayed no triumph. "Only focus. They underestimated us," Cole said flatly. "That won't happen again." The words carried weight. The squad fell silent, each soldier understanding what he meant. This was no simple contest, no ceremonial trial. Humanity had drawn blood from the Confederacy in front of the entire galaxy. That wound would demand response. Above them, the simulation shimmered. The ruined cityscape flickered, collapsing into raw light, until the squad stood once more in the vast chamber of the Confederacy. The audience of alien commanders remained, though their expressions had changed. Where there had been smug amusement, now there was unease, anger, and, just faintly, fear. One towering figure rose, its armor gilded, its mandibles flexing. "This outcome is an aberration. Primitive weapons should not have pierced our defenses. These games are flawed." Another commander, a scaled being with luminous eyes, hissed in rebuttal. "Flawed? Or have we misjudged them? You saw it as clearly as I. Their weapons are simple, yes, but their will is iron. They strike with precision and patience. That cannot be ignored." The chamber erupted in argument, a dozen voices rising, clashing in alien tongues before translation rendered them a cacophony. Some demanded rematch, others dismissal, still others whispered of danger. The humans stood silently in the center, surrounded by the storm of voices, their posture steady, their discipline unbroken. Cole's gaze swept across the tiers. He could feel the weight of 1,000 eyes pressing down, try to read him, to diminish him, to dismiss him as chance or trick. He offered them nothing. His silence was its own defiance. Grayson raised his chin, speaking loud enough to carry. "You want a test? You have it. We fought with the tools of our world, with the discipline of our people, and we prevailed. Deny it if you will, but the galaxy saw what happened here." The arguments faltered. The truth was undeniable. Every drone, every recorder, every spectator had witnessed the battle. The sight of helmets cracking, of juggernauts falling, of shields shattering beneath bullets. These images could not be erased. At last, a final voice rose above the rest. Ancient, resonant, belonging to one of the Confederacy's elder counselors. "The games are clear. The Terrans have proven themselves not weak, but formidable. Their methods may be crude, but their results cannot be denied. Humanity is recognized as a sovereign force among the stars." The proclamation echoed, final and binding. Yet the silence that followed was not relief, but tension. Recognition was not safety. It was acknowledgement, and acknowledgement made them a threat. The chamber dimmed, the simulation dissolving entirely. The humans stood once more in their holding bay, the roar of alien debate still lingering in memory. The squad exhaled, the weight of adrenaline finally catching them. Ramirez slumped against a wall, helmet tucked under his arm, face streaked with sweat and dust. "We actually did it," he whispered. "We stared down the whole damn galaxy, and we didn't blink." Yates chuckled, though it was hollow, edged with nerves. "Yeah, now the whole damn galaxy knows our name. That's not the same as safety." Grayson looked to Cole, the man whose rifle had turned the tide. "Ghost. Thoughts?" Cole sat on a crate, rifle resting across his knees. He ran a hand over the scarred barrel, his voice calm. "They'll come for us harder now. This wasn't just about the games. We embarrassed them. Every commander we dropped, every helmet we cracked, that's a scar they won't forgive." Ramirez frowned. "Then what was the point? We won, didn't we?" Cole's eyes lifted, steady and unblinking. "The point was to remind them that humans aren't easy prey. That's what they saw today. That's what they'll remember. We bleed, but we don't break. And when we strike, we don't miss." The squad absorbed his words in silence. There was no cheer, no outburst of triumph. Only the quiet understanding that history had shifted. Humanity was no longer hidden, no longer underestimated. They had stepped onto the stage of the galaxy, rifles in hand, and left a mark no one could ignore. Grayson rose, his expression resolute. "Rest while you can. We'll be called again soon, and when that happens, I want every one of you sharper than you were today. The galaxy just learned our name. Now it will test us harder than ever." Cole leaned back, closing his eyes for a moment. In his mind, he could still hear the laughter of the Confederacy, the sneers at his weapon, the mockery of his presence. That laughter had been silenced by thunder, and though he knew it would rise again, he also knew he would silence it again, one round at a time. The squad sat together in weary silence, comrades bound not by ceremony, but by shared fire. Outside, the galaxy stirred, already debating, already plotting. But inside the holding bay, among scarred armor and scorched weapons, humanity's future was clear. They would fight, they would endure, and they would remind the stars why their helmets cracked like eggs.